So I am Konstantin Kudryashov, also known as EverZ everywhere, where I want you to find me, like GitHub or Twitter. And today I will talk about Behat by example. But first I want to kind of describe what this talk will be about and what it will not be about, so no confusion later. This talk will not be about how to set up Behat, Mink, Symfony 2 extension or Mink extension, or how to write your feature context or any PHP code. There's two reasons about that. First of all, I don't have enough time or willing to do that, again. And second of all, and most importantly, it's all well described on the official Behat documentation, and there is an awesome quick intro written by Ryan Weaver, by which you can get into Behat in half an hour, so no need to repeat it. But what you will not find on documentation, on official documentation, is that how to actually be efficient with writing your features, how to write them correctly, and how to make your business better, or your client's business better, by using Behat and by leveraging the possibilities it gives to you. And this is exactly what I will talk about right now. I will talk about how to fix communications between you and your clients with Storybility, and how to build successfully product by concentrating on real business values of your product. So I think we can start. So behavior-driven development. Behat is behavior-driven development framework written for PHP 5.3 and which also supports 5.4. And first commit was done almost 2 years ago, what means that this month Behat will have a second birthday, which is awesome. And amount of things that we achieved during this 2 year span time span is amazing, because some projects are already using this tool for their development processes, like Codeigniter guys using this, Kohana guys using this, some Drupal guys even using the Behat. And some guys are just thinking about using it. And some users are even comparing it with a parent tool or stepbrother tool, Cucumber, from which Behat was taking a lot of concepts, including the main DSL concept. And I like next quote. It's from Brett Scott, lead web developer at bbc.com. We had a talk yesterday from BBC guys. Actually, they are using Cucumber right now, but Brett tried Behat for 2 weeks, and actually he concluded that Behat, in some cases, behaves even better than Cucumber for PHP projects, of course. So the question is, I suppose there are a lot of guys that are using Behat here. So do you think that Behat is awesome functional testing framework? Raise your hands who thinks that it's awesome functional testing framework. Okay, some guys are raised hands. It's cool. So you're wrong. And not about everything. It's like, it is awesome if you trust BBC, and you should trust BBC. It's a news corporation. But is it really functional testing framework? And so you will have functional tests as a free bonus when you will use behavior-driven development and Behat, particularly. It's not a target of behavior-driven development. It's not a point of it. So no, it's not a functional testing framework. And the reason behind that is that actually we're not testing functionality. We're not testing that application functions as we developers expect it to function. With Behat, with Storybility, instead we're testing that application behaves, that it fulfills business needs of our clients. And when I'm talking about clients, I don't mean like guys with money who bring money into your projects. I know there's a lot of guys in this room who have open source projects like Doctrine, Propel 2, and you're thinking like, oh my God, I don't have client, you know, why do I need this? The point is, you always have a client. For open source projects, you have two of them. You have final client and intermediate client. Final clients are actually your library users. Because, you know, like writing library for yourself, nobody does that. In exceptional case, you're writing library for yourself. So it means that the end user is you. And so there's always a client. There's always a guy who wants something and whose business needs you need to fulfill. And there is a big difference between functional, you know, between properly functioning applications and applications that fulfill business needs. I think you all know some examples of applications that were, you know, like working function correctly in any possible way that developers that does them expected to behave. But at the same time, you know, like they failed because they were not solving business problems of final clients. So the final point is, you might think about Behat as a tool to teach your clients how to test application, you know, or what is functional testing is about. But in reality, Behat is a tool to teach you about the business of clients. And when I'm saying, you know, clients, again, it's like for open source libraries, final clients is final users, you know, end users. And how it actually does that, how Behat teaches you to fulfill business needs, it does it of forcing you to explore the domain area of your project. And actually, it provides 3 different levels, abstract levels of exploration of your domain area. And domain area is something, it's a knowledge about your project, about business behind the project, that will be able to, you know, to bring you money or bring you more users or bring familiarity across the world. And Behat provides 3 levels. It's narrative, possible list of scenarios, and scenario details. And every next level provides more additional information to the feature, but you can stop on any of those. First level is narrative, and narrative is the most important part for the business. It's like, because it answers most important questions about your feature. Why do you want it? And if it's not enough, if you need more details, if you need to go into more specific details of this feature, you could define a list of possible scenarios, like it's sentences that describe what this feature is all about. And if this is not enough, you can describe each scenario into more detailed level. And the point is, you don't need to write steps for your scenarios in order to be clear about your feature. You can end up with something like that, and it's totally okay, you know, developers could understand that. Obviously, you will not be able to test it, but it's a behavior-driven development. You're describing behavior, and you're fixing communication between your team and the clients. And the guys familiar with agile could notice that feature narrative is almost exactly the same as user story in agile world, because they are the same. The only difference is Gherkin and Behat and Cucumber, all those tools provide additional 2 levels of details for your project. So Story BDD helps ensuring that development team has understanding of business on the same level that your client does. And it's really important because in most of the projects, you're not on the same page. You're either too technical or too business-oriented. And in order to provide a useful and successful product, you need to ensure that your business people are on the same page as development team. But it's not all. The problem is business people, in most cases, don't know their business too. And there are examples when business people operate on the things that they want, but not they actually need. So Behat also helps you to leveling up knowledge of business by business people, by clients. And it raises knowledge of business by clients, and raises knowledge of business by developers, and at the same time fixes communication between those. Oh, you might say, it's cool, but how actually it does that? You know, it's magic or something. Well, no magic. Behat just, and Gherkin in particular, forces you to answer a business question during your development process. And there is not much those questions. There is only 3. For whom you build the feature, what it will give to those users, you know, like who is the beneficiary, what is the benefit, and how you will actually get this benefit. And all those 3 questions are really important, but most important that they combined create another more important question, most important question for any business. It's why. Why do you need this feature? And this is something that we forgot during the last decades. It's asking ourselves or our clients why we need some feature to be implemented. We're concentrating on functional stuff, but we don't think about business, about solving problems of end users or of our clients. And this is something that Behat tries to solve. And this is something that Cucumber tries to solve. Any other behavior-driven development framework, story behavior-driven development framework. And I think it's a lot of concepts for you, but I will try to clarify things a little bit with examples. And this is why I talk called Behat by examples. So first case will be most common case. In any project, you will have this. In most projects, not in any project, but registration. So just imagine you have a client that wants registration for his website. And the common mistakes that you might make in this case is like you will start to think about technical implementational details, and you will, you know, like how we will do that. You know, does he need an out, or maybe he needs just a form? And this is a wrong path because you're not trying to find business reasons behind this question, behind this proposal for feature. And what you actually should do is ask those questions to yourself or to your client. Who will be beneficiary for this feature? For whom you will implement this feature? Is it users? Well, it's not users because we're talking about registration. So it's visitors, right? Okay, it's visitors to our website. Why they might need this registration? Because it's a common functionality on any website? No, because, for example, we have a client that wants a blogging platform on which only he can write blog posts. But he wants to get feedback about every particular article on his blog post. And he asked us, you know, like, to make a registration for users to be able to comment on these articles. And when you're, when you're starting to shift to think from visitor's point of view, not from the client point of view, from the end user client, you notice, the problem here. The problem is it's not. The beneficiary should be visitors, but actual beneficiary of this feature is your client, is like blog editor. Because he needs the feedback, but visitors will need to register in order to leave a feedback. So this is a problem. And this is a business problem that you need to solve. And you need to talk with the client in this case, or with yourself, if you're a client, about simplification of this. Maybe you just need a form with email field in your blog, or maybe you even can use some third-party platform like Discuss for your blogging stuff. But just for sake of for example, let's assume that we have a shopping platform, and those, visitors will actually have a benefit of registering on this shopping platform. Because in this case, they will have a buying history of their shoppings on our platform. This is a real benefit. It's like if you want to have a whole history of your shoppings, you register. So the one of the important rules is know your clients. Because sometimes your client is not the one who you should aim to. Because most of the clients have a particular aim to do. They don't want project just in the sake of project. They want to get money from it, or they want to become popular. And the only way to get this is like to please their users. So your client wants some functionality for his users, but tomorrow he will say goodbye to you if his users will say goodbye to him. So know your clients and think about them. So our registration feature narrative could look like this. In order to maintain my shopping history, this is a benefit, right? This is why visitors will need this. And the role is as a site visitor. We're stating this exactly. And the feature in Gherkin or in Behat will look like this. And as I said, there is a benefit, there is a role or beneficiary of the role. And the cool part about this, you can stop at this level. You don't need to go further. You can write 500 such features and with only narrative. And what you will get for this, you will get formalized description of all the features your client or you need on this project. And this will give you some interesting abilities like, this is not a real query language or something, but just imagine that you or your client are able to go through this list of 100 features, and they all have the same format. And your client is able to distinguish roles across the features and benefits of each role. So in this way, he can prioritize what features are really important for his business and this current iteration of the project, and what are not. For example, if we're building blogging platform, we will have bloggers, we will have administrators, and we will have commenters, users, and just users without any particular reasons. So there could be features that will, beneficiaries of which will be users, and the benefits will be for users. And when you will describe them in this formal way, you will see that at the first iteration of the project, you shouldn't concentrate on simple users because, it's like they should comment on something. They can't do anything else. So you should concentrate on administrators' features, and you should concentrate on the blog editors' features. And who is the most important for you? This is a business question that you should answer. And this way, you can concentrate on the features that really matters at the current stage, development stage of the product. So use the gained knowledge from your features. Learn it, explore your domain area, and use it. So let's imagine that that is not enough for us, obviously, and we need to go further with scenarios. And we can have a lot of these scenarios. And again, we can stop here if it's enough for development team. And this will be sufficient feature. We can even, generate HTML out of it. It doesn't matter. If it helps development process, you don't need to go into details. But if you want to, if it's not clear for development team, you can go into details. And what I see a lot is features like that from the newcomers. They use Mink and bundled with Mink steps and things that, okay, you can go, like directly using the steps, and you don't need to do anything with it. And the key point here is like, what is this, It's given I'm on /register, and the URL should be / after that, But we are a site visitor, It depends. It's like, do your site visitor actually knows about address bar or URL? Maybe he knows, but maybe it's not interface of your website. For example, for GitHub, address bar is a part of the user interface. It's a part of user experience. But for most of the websites, it's not. And if user can't click on some link, he will not find some page. So you see a problem here. And like, if you will go with that, you will not check any business rules, any business behind it. And if you will change it to something like that, it becomes more clean for a visitor. Like, I'm a visitor. Pretend your role, pretend you're a beneficiary for this feature. I'm on a home page, and I follow sign up. OK, I follow the link. It's obvious. And then, after all, I should be on the home page. It's easy. It's understandable. And the most important part here, when you're switching previous steps to those, you get the important knowledge, like, aha, I need a link for the user. Because you can forget about it. There is a story from the guys from Ruby community before Cucumber. They were using the functional testing framework and they've done experiment. They were developing web application for a month without opening the browser. They were doing functional testing, they were doing unit testing, and after a month of development, what they've discovered actually is that all their web forms on the website had no submit button. So it's functionality, It works, it functions, but it's not usable for the end user. It has no business value, it has no added value. And another point is, of course, like, the response code should be 200. Like, how many users do you know that knows about response status codes? I don't, any of those. And it's because users don't care about your response or requests. What users care about, in most cases, like visitor users, it depends, is that they should see some content. So let's change this step to, then I should see you have been successfully registered. And user actually sees this on the web page. This is important part of the behaviors. This is what we should test about, or describe, sorry. Yeah, so the end feature is like that. And it's really, important to understand for the role from which perspective you're describing your functionality, your behavior. So let's go to another case. It's about sending emails. It's another common case where most of the applications, like social networks and stuff, need to send emails in some form to their users. So we have a client that wants their registered users to send feedbacks through contact form. So let's go up again through the step chain, like who, in this case, obviously users, registered ones. Why? To give a feedback. Like they found a bug or they want something on the websites and they need to give a feedback. So feature narrative will be like that. In order to give feedback as a site user, I need to be able to use contact form. And scenario would be successfully sending feedback through a contact form. It's important to have a sentence that actually describes action in your scenario, because this way you can avoid, like steps level if you don't need to go deeper. And here comes the interesting part. Like there is a registered users. So in order to describe this behavior, we need to register first. And at some point, it becomes something like this. And Quack, William Durant, dude, it's for you. So basically, this situation is so common that I even, I even got a name for it. This text is a very boring text, and I bet you will not manage to read the whole text, since the only period in the text is the one thing that ends the whole text. You got it, right? It's too long. No one will understand anything. The only thing that users will understand is that, and I should see message sent, the last one. You will forget about first steps when you reach the last one. And the problem here, actual problem here, is like you have two givens and two whens, And you should change it, because every scenario should have beginning, end, and action in it. So you're changing the intermediate givens to whens, but damn, it's still huge. You know, we didn't solve the problem. And the problem is these particular steps. And what they actually describe is, you know, like single part of description. You never talk with your friends in this way, like, you know, hey, dude, how you arrived at work? Oh, you know, I take my car, then I drive for 3 streets, then I've, you know, like, put my car into garage, then I opened my office. No, you're just saying, you know, like, I got my car, you know? And in this case, it's the same. Like, you're describing the whole registration flow. You don't need to. You need to describe just that you are a registered user. And it doesn't matter what username or password you have in this particular case. The only thing that is important is that you are a registered user, and that's it. And the last point is this step. I don't know either you noticed or not, but this, it's like, you know, every time when I'm reading features, my features after some time, or, you know, my teammates' features, and I face something like this, you know, there is a cases. You know, I'm always trying to read features as a role that I've described a narrative, and in this case, it's site user. And so when I reach those type of steps, I'm like, hey, take this, it's for you. It's not, you know, it's not for a business, it's not for a site user. You describe something for a purely technical guy who knows how markup works. And the reason is, it doesn't matter for the user. User don't know anything about markup. The only thing is, he knows that he expects something to see on the page, or some particular part of the page. In this case, it's notification area. That's it. And the next important point is how to actually test emails. And there is, you know, like, it's a special case for Symfony, because the test client, you know, like, how it works, it uses, you can use profile to get all your sent emails in the test environment. And, but the point is, after you're sending emails, actually, after registration or something, in most cases, you're redirecting your user. So when you will try to get profile, you will get profile from the second page, where no emails have been sent. So there is a common context for doing this, like, I do not follow redirects, and then it states that test client should not redirect user. And after, you know, some cases, after some steps, it says, and then I should be redirected. And, well, you know, it's a technical stuff too. Your user doesn't need anything to know, doesn't need to know anything about, you know, redirects and stuff, then I should be redirected. It doesn't matter, you know. He just clicks the link and he wants to see something and to be sure that his email sent. And just refactor it into something like this. And I send feedback, you know, it's a custom step. In it, you can say that you're not following redirects, then actually pressing the button, and then the feedback email should have been sent, follow redirect and test for email, or controversially, you know, check for email and follow redirect. That's basically it, you know, like, compare it with the beginning. This is, you know, how visitors, how users of your site will talk about, you know, features. This is what they want to see on the website, not the, you know, like, purely technical stuff. And third case is a really interesting one. It's a complex one. It's based on the real case from the real life. So basically, we have a website, testing website, like for students and teachers, where teachers could create tests, automated tests for their students, and students can pass those tests, and yeah, you know, gain evaluation of their skills. So, and at some point, we got, you know, a client who says, like, I want students to optionally receive notifications about missed topics after failing tests. So, user fills the test. There are a couple of questions about mathematics, and he fails those, you know, those actual questions about mathematics. So what I want as a teacher for this student to get notification about, dude, you need to learn mathematics, you know? That's it. It's like, okay, it's obvious, it's simple. Who is a beneficiary? It's the students. Why they need this feature? To learn topics, obviously, you know, if they didn't learn it, notify them about this. Let's start with a narrative, and we finished with something like this, describing a feature. Given there is a test with questions, there is a topic, there is a question, possible answers, and correct answer. And there is I am authenticated student because, I'm a student. I have activated notifications. And when I follow test ID, test 1, and fill the form, and then I should see learn math more. And then eventually we found something interesting. After talking with client, he said that this step, and I have activated notifications. We've actually discovered that this option should be visible only for teachers, and actual students shouldn't see this or even know about this option. This option enables notifications for the users, but they don't know anything about it. So we started to think about it, and you know what? We've chosen the wrong beneficiary for this feature. Because actual beneficiary, in this case, now, is a teacher. And why might he want this notification system? To help students, to ensure that students understood topic correctly. It's not students anymore, it's a teacher. And if teacher wants to ensure that topic understood, he enables notifications. In most cases, if you're writing your feature and you're facing some steps that describe functionalities that users don't need to know about, it means that you've chosen the wrong role. So final feature will look a little bit different. Given there is a test 1 with questions, it's the same. But I'm authenticated teacher. I have activated notifications for student name. When this particular student fails test, then he should see learn math more. It's very important to understand who's the beneficiary, because in this way, you are able to make real beneficiary of this feature lives easier by making feature better. By concentrating on the wrong beneficiary, you will make student life easier, but actual guy who wants this feature is a teacher. This is really important. And fourth case, it's just for showing. It's a CLI tool, like technical one, purely technical one. In some case, you want to test, to describe how your CLI component of the application behaves. And at this point, you can notice this. It's like, dude, you've just told the, no technical stuff. But I've also said that it differs. It depends really on the role. And in this case, the role is a technical administrator. And technical administrator is the guy who knows everything about running the console commands and actual return codes like 0, 1, and stuff. He knows this. And you're describing this in the language that he understands and he can use. The key point here is not going too low level. Because in some cases, in most cases, CLI is the most lowest technical level that you should go with Behat and Story BDD. Because the lower level lies the actual code. And Behat, as any tool, have particular target, particular business aim to solve, particular questions to answer. And it answers business problem by, providing you with the tools to explore domain areas through creating domain language for specific roles. And in case of actual PHP code, like, classes level, their inheritance, their connections, actual domain language is a code, is a syntax of your language. So if you will try to use Behat for this, it's like, at the first, features might look okay, but you will finish with re-implementing your actual syntax of the language in Gherkin. And you will not be able to maintain your features in 2 months. And I want to finish with the quote from Ryan Weaver. I hope everybody knows who is Ryan Weaver. I think the real difference between mid-level and pro-level Behat user is the understanding of roles and their place in the features. Really important. Think about your roles, think about benefits for them, and think about how to please your users. Either it's final users, end users, or intermediate users. So, yeah, that's basically it.